Hello, Outschool community. I'm Miss Stephanie. I teach science and quilling paper art on Outschool. Today, I want to tell you a little bit about my third grade science fusion class. I also teach first and second grade, and some of those students are moving up now to third grade. So let me go over this book with you and tell you a little bit about what to expect from the class. Some English learning families have asked me about levels for science fusion. I do have the Cambridge English levels listed on there, so please take careful note of that. And then if you have further questions, you may ask me. I'm making this video for you to see the expectations and how much reading is involved in the third grade so that you can decide if your learner is ready for that or if they need to take first or second grade instead. So let's get started. I'm going to be screen sharing so that you can see how wonderful this book is, how colorful, and what all is inside. Okay, we have the Science Fusion third grade. I've also already made the videos for first and second grade if you want to check those out. And just like first and second grade, it's going to take a similar pattern, starting with the nature of science and STEM. I like the way that the first, second, and third grade just flow beautifully together with this curriculum. And we start with Scientists Investigate, talking about the tools that they use in first, second, and third grade. We're going to start off with talking about the tools so that the students realize that a scientist is not some far off, hard subject and person to comprehend. It's something that we can do even in our homes because we have rulers and measuring cups and different tools at our house that we can use for experiments. Okay, then we talk about the engineering process and we move on to life science. Plants and animals are always among the favorite for the students. We have fun learning about plants and animals, and the first, second, and third grade just keeps progressing, and we learn more and more about the plant life cycles and the animal life cycles. So if your child took first or second grade with me, you will know how it started, and then we're just going to build on that. It builds beautifully, and the reading comprehension builds, the expectations build. Then Unit 4, Ecosystems and Interactions. Unit 5 is Earth and Space Science, Changes to Earth's Surface, People and Resources, Water and Weather, Earth and its Moon. And then Unit 9 and 10 is Physical Science, the same as it was for the first and second grade science fusion. So, and then in the third grade, it's Matter and Simple and Compound Machines. The simple and compound machines were not in the first and second grade, at least not in depth. So this is a newer concept that's really built on in the third grade. Okay, so let's take a look. You can see, if you're not familiar with science fusion, you can see that it is a very beautifully well done curriculum. I like that it is a textbook, but it's a work text, meaning the students can color, underline, write, and I encourage them to do that. There is a place for them to write their vocabulary words. For those of you that live in other countries, feel free to order the e-version if the physical version is too expensive or the shipping is too expensive. But for here in the USA where I live, the book itself and the shipping is very reasonable. So I would highly suggest that you have the physical book for the children to hold and touch and be able to write in. And you can see that it's colorful, talking about what is science. One big change between the first and the second grade and then the third grade is that the third grade, there is a big jump in how many words are on each page. If you go back and watch the first and second grade video where I show those books, you're going to see the amount of words on each page. I noticed that on the third grade, it's a big jump. So just make sure that your learner is ready for that. For example, on this page, Small Wonders, It is about pollen and pollination. They are lengthy paragraphs versus in the first and second grade, very short, simple paragraphs. This is lengthier, and the student does need to be able to read and comprehend this. It's okay if they struggle with some words because they're learning the vocabulary, but if they cannot read it at all by themselves, please consider the first or second grade class instead. And you can always send me a message on Outschool and ask me further questions and get some advice about that, because I don't want them to feel overwhelmed. And sometimes if students feel overwhelmed, it's called the frustration level. If they meet that frustration level, they're going to start tuning things out and not be interested. So the goal, I believe for parents should be to find just enough a challenge that it's very interesting, but not to reach that frustration level, because I want them to have fun in our science fusion class and do the hands-on, but also the reading. The science fusion curriculum is very structured, as you're seeing. And so it is a great match for most families, but I will say it's not a great match for all families. If you feel like your homeschooling teaching style is more relaxed and you don't want as much structure, it may not be a good fit. But again, you're welcome to ask me questions about that. I like how math is incorporated in the science fusion. You're going to see in the first, second, and third grade some math problems just sprinkled throughout, and I like that. Again, you can see how much reading is on a page, and that here we see some true false, which really is a higher critical thinking skill where they need to process and see if that is true or false, if it's correct or incorrect. Lots of fun with the animal life cycles. Insect life cycles. We see that some is really easy, large print, but then it goes into longer paragraphs. I just want to make sure that your reader can read these longer paragraphs. I'm not asking for them to be able to pronounce or even know what metamorphosis means. If they can't pronounce words or they don't understand all of them, that's okay. I'm not asking for them to understand that yet, because that's why we're learning this science vocabulary. I'm just asking that they be able to understand the gist and know most of it before they start the third grade class. Here is a little more math about millimeters. I'm going through this overview so that you see what the expectation is and if it's a good fit for your learner. So I hope that this is helpful. Now I want to show you the inquiry flip chart pages. There's only a few of these pages in the book, and this is the only part that I do not cover in my science fusion classes, the inquiry flip chart. This is an extra resource that you may decide to order or not order for your homeschool with your child. If you feel like your child needs to be challenged more and they're not getting as much as you would like for them to, then this will be great. But we already have so much to cover in our classes. I do not have time to also cover the inquiry flip chart. And I feel like the textbook alone does an excellent job. And we will have some show and tell times for your learner to show things that apply to each of the lesson. So there'll be plenty of hands-on type experiences and experiments for your child. Here is a lovely map that is showing migration routes, ecosystems and interactions. Here is a stellar jay. You're going to see that This book and curriculum for Science Fusion is so fun the way that it uses animals to draw children in and make them so interested about the world all around us. And crossword puzzle. So this will challenge the students. I will give them a chance to work on this, but then I will also help them so that they don't get discouraged. I want to challenge them by giving them a chance to work on it on their own, but then to go over it with them. And you'll see that it covers some key lesson vocabulary as well as some other words. Here is another math problem sprinkled in there. Graphs are found several times throughout the third grade curriculum. And I like the way that the math is weaved in with the graphs with science. Here's a learning about some mountains around the world, not just in the USA, but around the world. Natural resources. Okay, again, this is the example of a review, a Unit 6 review. We will work on these together. Also, if the parent would like to use these questions for a test form, that is fine as well. Some homeschooling parents like to give tests and some don't. That's your choice. And the unscramble the words is always a higher critical thinking skill that is great. So you will find these in the book. This is also in the second grade book, the unscramble activity. So I hope that this was a good overview to help you know if the third grade class will be a good fit for your child. I'm always here as a reference, as a support that I can answer your questions. And if this class is not a good fit for your child, that's fine. Maybe I can help you find another science class on the Outschool platform. Remember, if you live in those states, to use the charter funds, and remember, English learning families, to check the Cambridge English level to see if your child is on that level. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.